you challenge, and it spoke right to me very strongly, because it's one thing that I've been very skeptical of and harsh about: American exceptionalism. And the notion that so many Americans, I don't know if it's true about younger people, meaning folks under 25, because I think they've grown up in a different context, but certainly older folks, people say north of 40, still believe in this notion that America somehow stands out head and shoulders above every other country. Now, I consider that to be deeply racist to continue to articulate it, but the problem is that we have both parties saying this. It isn't just Republicans running around saying this. Democrats always say it. Hey, America's the greatest country in the world. I don't believe that. I don't think this country is any better than any other country. I wonder what you're thinking about that, as the way the world looks at the United States now, and the way Americans, from your perception, are now thinking about American exceptionalism.
Yeah. Well, and you're so putting my cards on the table. I'm a migrant to this country and a believer, and a convert to the ideas that I saw as a young person in Ireland being debated here, the political values and systems. I've cast my vote already, and I've always felt this is the place I wanted to show up as a citizen and ask it to live up to its best aspirations. But I do think that you're right, that even for so many migrants like me and others, there's something very, very special and different saying that, starting a conversation about foreign policy that starts from the premise that the United States is a priori on its face, without even having to work on it, just better than others, reeks of either not being willing to hold yourself to a fair competition of ideas, or a lack of grasp on changing realities, because the numbers in our index and on many other counts are not showing performance. What they're showing is the opposite, that if you measure the strength of a society by how it treats its more vulnerable people, the United States is not doing well. And going into a foreign policy discussion and starting to use words of, well, we're different, so we're going to apply a different set of rules, after 4 years of Trump, is not the best way to re-achieve some level of credibility and partnership with countries who you now have to work with to get things done. So I don't believe the language of exceptionalism is actually helpful anymore. And I think the presumption of it is toxic.
Yes, absolutely. It's never been true just on the face of just the facts. If you look at all the things, in fact, your index shows that, and many other indexes where the U.S. ranks in all sorts of measurements like childcare, vacation, and all those other kinds of things that we would associate with a good country. But here, to your point about foreign policy, that American exceptionalism belief then justifies spending huge amounts on the military and the Pentagon, which in fact is part of the reason we have such yawning inequality, because American exceptionalism justifies this, because America, we're the superpower, and we have to basically be the police force of the world.
Yeah.
And that predates Trump. That's Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah. I mean, look, just to go back to an earlier topic, I'm actually really hopeful of the right kind of competition between an American idea of how our world might work fairly, which is, in my view, rights-based and principled and focused on a trust in institutions, not in men or women, frankly, but in checks and balances and the separation of powers, core American ideas, and the Chinese model. But the reality, I would love to see a competition around what is better for our world based on an American set of values versus a Chinese model. But I'll tell you one thing, if the Chinese are pouring more concrete now every 3 years than the United States poured in the entire 20th century, while the United States is involved in conflicts indirectly or directly in 150 countries around the world, you've got to ask if the United States is bringing the right equipment to that competition. If we continue to feel that it is our job to be the police force and to have a militarized foreign policy as our credibility diminishes with Trump, we are going to find it incredibly costly, and not just in terms of how much it costs, but the opportunity cost of not doing other things. And what I would be really hopeful for, and I'm hopeful for with the new political season, is a reinvestment and re-engagement, not exceptionalism, by the United States in non-military expenditures. And because I still believe that the principles and values that the United States offers the world are profoundly attractive to most countries. But they've got to be changed from, you know, a trickle down growth model to a more inclusive growth model. You've got to get the opportunity back into the dream that you're offering other countries, because they're looking at our economy and they're saying, if that's the American dream and you're leaving that number of people behind, no thank you.